Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 15 for July 19th, 2017. My name is Russell Frost. I have the pleasure of being your host on this adventure into another week of the Tesla Life. And luckily, my wingman is, as always, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Dramatic pause. Like it. Very good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. And as everyone knows, we are counting down to July the 28th. Under 2 weeks. And we are almost there.
My birthday? He says,
just happens to be on the same day as something else, Russell. Just happens to be.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so what this is about, is not my birthday. It's about the Model 3 live delivery event.
That's right. Yeah, Elon will be on stage and delivering cars at 7. Well, he's fashionably late at all times, so it won't be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be sometime after that.
Well, didn't I read somewhere that he comes on at 9? Did I see that?
I have not seen that. I've only seen the black invite that was sent out electronically to some, and it did say 7 p.m. on the black invite.
I'm going to have to look at that, but we'll be there for the whole thing, the whole damn thing. 7 p.m. Pacific, July 28th. Be there with us.
Yeah.
Be in the chat room talking to us. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal. It'll be fun to watch, and we'll have things to say, and we'll see happy people getting their Teslas, and there you go.
And hopefully we will learn a little bit more about the reservation system, and maybe get that pre-order form from somebody, or maybe they'll open it up and allow us all to see it, as opposed to just the ones that are getting the car.
Getting the car, yeah.
Or maybe someone that's getting the car will leak it. Who knows? But we would love to be able to see what those options are, what the pricing is, and when those options can be added to your reservation.
Only the person who leaks it's going to have their order canceled.
It's okay. It won't be me. So go ahead, somebody. Leak it away.
There you go. Well, I mean, and it'll be exciting when you get your notification, and we can actually,
yeah, like
we can go through the process with you.
I gotta believe that somebody is going to screenshot the options or something.
Right.
I gotta believe that will be quite early in the rotation, that we will get a look at what those reservation boxes look like.
I'm not really sure why it's secret anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
I think, Elon's holding the cards close to the chest, as we approach the release, as a lot of car companies do, right? They just kind of look at Nissan. They're keeping things pretty quiet. They got a September 5th launch, and we don't know a whole heck of a lot about the new Leaf. So everybody seems to do it just to maybe keep the competitors at bay.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe another good point, Mr. Coughlin. Well, speaking of good points, let's start off the news for this week with our friend, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Interesting story that came out just at the end of last week's news was Tesla's lawsuit that's happening against the state of Michigan. It's getting a little more interesting as they are starting to do some litigation and starting to push for reasons why Michigan has put a ban on Tesla for selling cars within the state with a dealership that's not owned by another entity. So what's happened is that Tesla has filed for some information from the suit, where it's looking for what are the reasons, the specific reasons that this ban has been laid on them. And interesting part of the discovery is that they've been able to file a few things that are making the dealerships who are basically sponsoring the other side of this ban, starting to make them nervous, because it appears that some people are going to start to be named as to who is part of it, who has put these blocks in place, and what their connection is to either the dealerships or the manufacturers or a combination of. And this is starting to make a few people a little bit queasy about their name being released and cited with this particular lawsuit. So hasn't happened yet, but this type of information has been requested as part of the suit. And we should be learning a little bit more as we get a couple weeks into this, that if these people or if these organizations are going to be actually named in public.
It's funny that let me make the bigger point first. The bigger point is that we have this wonderful fiction in the United States about the market, the free market, about competition, about how it's just this egalitarian arena upon which corporate athletes all compete equally and fairly for the citizen's dollar. And it kind of turns out that, in fact, actually, that's a lot of bullshit.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
It's who you know, and it's who your lobbyist is connected to, and who can pass a law that says this company can't do business in this state. This isn't about protecting consumers. This is about protecting a very, very well-paid, very well-moneyed lobby, the Car Dealers Association in Michigan. And one of the focuses of this is Kurt Berryman, who is the government relations person for the Michigan Auto Dealers Association. He was the most recent person to be subpoenaed, and he's claiming that he's already this subpoena is having a chilling effect on what he can do, and that car dealers won't talk to him anymore. And because of this, because they're afraid that anything they say will get turned over to the government. And I have to wonder, what could they possibly say that they would be afraid to be made public?
Well, it certainly is something that you'd say, well, if everything's on the up and up, it wouldn't matter what they have to say or have told each other or have written down or passed to another party. But obviously, that is not the case.
Clearly,
if you are chilled by just the thought of being subpoenaed and put in front of a court and having to spill your guts about what has been going on and what these particular motives are, man, a lot of juicy stuff there could be released.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I hope. We all know.
Now, I'm sure they're all scrambling to try to protect themselves from having to get up and spill their guts. I'm sure they're trying every legal maneuver that they can to walk away from this, run away from this, and not have to release the knowledge that they have in their possession.
And no one wants to be the first person to have their emails quoted in public as saying bad things about Elon or bad things about EVs or how are we going to keep this market free from that crap, all of that. And that's really what this is. This is about existing car dealers protecting their market from a competitor that they don't wish to compete with. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
They have all the power. They have all the money. They have all the buildings. This little upstart competitor somehow, though, sends the fear of death through their bones. And
well, it's obvious. You look at what Tesla has done this point to the, I guess you would say, the upper scale market for cars. Right. And there has been a chilling effect. There's been a huge ripple through the industry of Tesla getting involved in that market and taking it away from the likes of Mercedes-Benz and BMW and Audi and Cadillac and others. So now this little upstart is going to release I wouldn't say a lower end car. I would say that's probably a mid car pricing wise. And now that it's going to start to eat into other margins that currently it was not able to touch. So yeah, these groups are smelling that this is going to change their worlds. and they have to make some sort of stand if they can do it, to protect, as you said, their market share.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, the whole history of this legislation is just so deliciously sleazy. It's so like, state legislature, like just crappy. I mean, the amendment to ban Tesla from selling in Michigan was a last minute thing. They slammed in another bill by a guy named Senator Joe Hune. Interestingly enough, Joe Hune's wife, Marcia Hune, she's a lobbyist for car dealerships.
How does that happen?
What kind of coinky-dink is that? I mean, who would have thunk it?
Yeah, so it's like the old boys network, right? Like everybody knows everybody. It's wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're all about allowing competitors to compete in a market, and then they just slam the door because they have the power to do so.
Right, exactly. They've got the influence in the Michigan State Ledge, and they can go, oh, yeah, we'll cut that shit out quick. No problem. Yeah. And they did. And now hopefully they'll get burned for it.
Hopefully that stuff comes out in the light of day. And
instead of just beating them in the marketplace.
And the cockroaches will scramble to the corners. It'll be really interesting if they turn the light on and we're able to see what's going on.
I'm writing down scrambling cockroaches.
Show title.
Show title number 1, folks. I got to write them down or I forget them. No, I can't. I don't have a good segue for this. So one of the really interesting discussions, and I'm not a big Reddit fan. In fact, I think Reddit is for the most part a cesspool, but there's some really good discussions there. Forgive me.
That was a great segue.
I know. No. I mean,
for the
Reddit
most part,
itself,
it's a cesspool.
It is, but there's some really good groups that have some really great discussions. And on this Tesla subreddit, there was an amazingly interesting conversation about the difference between AP1 and AP2. And if you don't know what that is, that's Autopilot 1 and Autopilot 2. Depending on which Tesla you have, your vehicle may be enabled for either AP1, the older system, or AP2, the newer system. Does that sound that? So
it's a little confusing, but
it's a little confusing, but that sets us up. Now, generally speaking, we expect successive iterations of software and hardware to be better, to be improvements upon the previous one. And that's, I think, is the goal of most companies, to make version 1 good and then version 2 better and version 3 better. The problem is that these Tesla owners on this subreddit are discussing the idea that apparently it's not subtle, that actually AP2 is not as good by a long shot as AP1. The autopilot software only recognizes a smaller group of things, like adjacent lanes don't show up apparently. It can't tell you where you are on the road quite as well. Now, I'm not saying that AP2 doesn't work or that AP2 is more dangerous or anything like that. I'm not playing that. What I'm saying is that these owners, who are obviously very, very into the details, into the minutia of how their vehicles work, which a lot of people aren't, have really looked at this and broken this down, and they see some limitations to AP2, at least as it's deployed right now. And they feel like AP1, Autopilot 1, was better, which is, I'm sorry, this is the classic. The reason this is news is because this is man bites dog.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting that these well, they've had experience with both. That's the thing, is that these people have had the older version with maybe a previous car, and they're comparing apples to apples because they've had both to try and use in their own unique situations. And they're saying that in the circumstances that they use the car in, that the first version appears better for them. Right.
And obviously Tesla can update AP2 at any time. And it may be that the current version of AP2 had some limitations on it that Tesla put in there intentionally, and they may open it up more. Again, I don't want to say that AP2 doesn't work or Autopilot 2 doesn't work and Autopilot 1 is better, but the opinion of a lot of these Tesla owners in this thread, a couple of dozen people, is that Autopilot 1 saw more things and worked better for them than Autopilot 2.
It could be that they're a little bit short-sighted too, that when they entered into AP1, all the options were there to start with. And they got this complete, robust package that they never experienced before this point. And now, as Elon has said, he's rolling this stuff in piece after piece as they're getting the software written and added to, and these extra features are starting to show up in AP2. And it's been a long road. It's been longer than what he publicized it would be. It was, Elon time that he didn't quite hit those marks that he was asking or stating he would do. So that could be a lot of this, that these guys they had a robust package in version 1 and they started just to get pieces in version 2. And they're belly aching about, that it's not a complete package.
It's, the one of the people that we read or that I paid attention to is someone named X-Man Tipper on, again, this Tesla subreddit. And I want to read a little bit of what that person wrote. Quote, "This experience makes me wonder whether Tesla is actually better at autonomous driving or just better talking about it. Elon's great at pitching the future. If AP1 is still better than AP2, then does that mean that the Intel Mobileye platform is better than NVIDIA? Will other car makers' AP systems be better? I guess we'll see when they start launching and getting reviewed." I think that's a very reasonable criticism and a very reasonable observation given what they've noted. And it doesn't leave out the fact that maybe Tesla's not good at it. Maybe it's a matter of Elon's hype. Maybe it's just this version of AP2 that'll be updated to something much, much better. But all of that, it doesn't, what this person wrote doesn't exclude any of those things. And I appreciate that, as opposed to just saying Elon sucks and he's ripping us off and it's horrible. And that's not.
Yeah.
That's not what this.
He's come back with some reasonable arguments based on his experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Being someone who's generally ranty and kind of, given to hyperbole.
No. No comments from the peanut gallery.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Okay, fine, Mark. Fine. Hey, speaking of Mark and hyperbole.
Really?
I don't know.
How does that mix in?
It doesn't make any sense at all. I'm handing you the stinky football right now. Take it.
Just before we leave that other topic, though, it's something to keep an eye on as to when they were selling the version 2 of the Autopilot, Elon made a lot of promises and he made a lot of quick timetables that really have not happened to this point, but they've been adding in more and more items to the AP2. But there was so much fanfare about how much better this was going to be than the previous system. So it's he's got a lot riding on this, that people have paid up front for this system and they don't have access to the full autonomous modes that have been promised. So the longer this goes on, the more, I guess, the more noise there's going to be about it, because it's some of these people have paid the full price up front and they have not been able to utilize what they were promised that they had purchased.
Yeah, that would irritate me.
Yeah,
and something that doesn't irritate me.
What's that?
Lee Moon and JT24 in the chat room. JT suggesting that I'm going to get a Model 3 for my birthday from Elon. Thank you, JT. From your lips to Musk's ears, baby. I am all about that.
Well, it's coming up close, so man.
Yeah. If during the live broadcast you hear this, Yeah,
Gotta get the
and I
doors.
run to the door.
Courier
and
at
I
the
start-
door.
I'll start screaming like a little girl. I promise.
It's like,
Yay!
it's like that skit from Saturday Night Live, Land Shark, except it'll be Tesla driver.
Yeah.
Tesla delivery. Tesla
delivery. Yeah, sure. Right. We have him on live camera, folks. Here he is. Hey, you know what? I'll make an ass out of myself for Model 3. Hell yeah.
Anybody would. Anyone.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. So, the next story that we have in line is that, and it kind of plays into my third story, but we'll start here anyways. Is that Elon has mentioned that they are going to be putting in place another 2 to 3 gigafactories for the U.S. So the story appeared just recently. How this gigafactory that we see in Nevada is going to be duplicated a few more spots in the United States in the next few years. And again, we've spoken to this point in the past about how Elon just keeps upping the bet every single time. Whenever he gets a microphone in front of him, you think he's going to say something about where they're sitting, but he always takes that second or third or maybe fifth step ahead and comes out with, boom, we're not going to have just this one gigafactory going. We're now going to have 3 in the United States. And I know that you knew we were going to have one in Asia and other continents and Europe and so forth, but we're putting in 2 or 3 more just in the U.S. and within the next few years. So quite a revelation. Again, upping the ante, which is great. I love to hear this stuff because you know what? He may not hit the timelines all the time, but he actually does it. Like, it takes him a little time over possibly what he's put in place, but he still ends up at the finish line. And, we can see that with the bet that he's about to unleash here on the 28th as well. That was another thing that was pushed 2 years in advance, and it looks like he's going to actually make his timetable on this one. So more power to him. It's really fun to watch and interesting to see where these particular gigafactories will exist in the U.S. Going forward. But man, what a couple of I guess raising the bet he's been able to do.
And you know what? Cheers. I mean, I think a lot of the problem with American business has been a lack of vision in some senses, a lack of that like big picture kind of thing, where we're not afraid to hit for the fences, and go, yeah, we're going to do it. And maybe not. Maybe you don't always do it the first time. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 times or whatever. But at least you've got that kind of higher goal, that loftier goal. Than, hey, I'm going to make some things and sell a few of them. Yeah, that's great. Boy, that's inspiring.
Well, maybe maybe that's part of it. Is that he has to be, because let's face it, he is the visionary for the company alone. Like, he is out there in front of this group that's growing in leaps and bounds in staff, in size, in capital expenditure, and he is the only one that's there doing it. So he's got to push the company and keep saying, we're going further, we're going faster, and we are going to get there. And like I said, kudos to him. It's a great testament for him to be able to grow and push this company further and further as we see it every day.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's quite an achievement to keep the company with these future goals. It's amazing as a bystander on the outside just to see these leaps and bounds as he's moving it along.
I can make fun of the Boring Company and maybe even Hyperloop, and just go, I don't know. But you know what? I love SpaceX, and I love that he's doing these things. He's doing some crazy stuff because, again, you never know, right? Maybe we all will ride on electric sleds in underground tunnels like moles.
Like moles?
Okay, probably not. Wait, moles don't have electric sleds, do they?
I've never seen a mole with an electric sled. I think they're still working on coal.
Yeah, no, that's the American moles. The Canadian moles only have coal and hydro. We've got nuclear moles down here, dude. They're badass. You got to watch them. So, yeah. Well,
exactly.
Speaking of badass, did I say that? Yeah,
I did. I'm waiting for the follow-up. I heard the opening one. I'm just waiting for the follow-up.
Boy, I better have a good follow-up here. Well, speaking of badass, there is some speculation about something going on in the Fremont factory. What you're looking at there is an aerial view, recently shot, of the Tesla factory in Fremont. You may or may not recognize it, but there it is anyway. And if you note down here, you can see where my cursor is. There's an interesting structure in progress.
I know what it is.
And it's tall. Well, let's look.
Is it a hydrogen reactor?
Did you really just say that?
We all know Elon's love of hydrogen.
Yeah, so well, there's that. Yeah. No, I feel sure that is the world's largest fuel cell stack. Yeah, I feel sure of that.
Oh, there's a strong possibility that I'm completely wrong.
No. Well, I won't say that you're wrong, but let's just say that having dug into this story a little bit, it turns out there's an interesting. So you see the thing here, and it looks like a whole bunch of lattice work, right? I mean, it's not normally what you would expect to see in an industrial building. You know, you'd see like a cement tilt-up with a big open space, and then they'd put stuff inside. But instead, this is like a lot of kind of bracketing and shelving and stuff. It's odd. Well, let me stop that. It turns out that the company that's doing this for Tesla makes automated parts storage systems. And what this could be, now we don't know that this is the case, but what this could be is, let me show you a video, and just so you can kind of see again what I'm talking about here. You go, automated part storage. What is that? So here's a video from the company that's building this.
Looks a little familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like the same kind of thing. And basically what this does, they're just kind of, yeah, and you can see it's all like racks. And when you're building a lot of stuff, you need a lot of places to store parts, and you need it to be well organized. And what this looks like is just hundreds, maybe thousands of pallet racks that automated robots can access, grab parts, and then get them to the right place in the factory. Doesn't that look just like that? That looks
exactly like the aerial photo.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah. So this is basically a racking system that can be automated.
Elon loves robots.
That's no doubt there.
He loves robots. And honestly, I mean, when it comes to like storing parts, I'm probably not going to complain that there aren't like people like physically carrying boxes of parts from one end of the factory to the other. You know what I mean? Like that's not, I want jobs for humans, but this is probably a really good job for robots. So yeah, and it saves space. Obviously it can be in the dark, which Elon loves. Yeah, so it really doesn't look, I mean, it just looks, there's a photograph of it right there, or of a different one. And you can see that there are the little robots down there. And
they're basically automated forklifts that zip around and push product up and pull it down from the shelves and bring it to the forefront.
There it is.
There you go. Yeah.
Little robots getting stuff, and it's all there. And you know what? That's I mean, obviously that's a great sign. We want to see that kind of activity at the Fremont factory to ramp up the Model 3 production. They've got to do stuff like this. We've talked about that in other shows that analysts and experts have theorized that there's no way for Tesla at that factory as it sits to ramp up production to what Elon's goals have been. This might be it seems pretty clearly that it is one of those steps towards making that that goal happen.
Exactly. That is very cool that these you're able to pull that out, and it's exactly the same as the photograph from the air. This is definitely what this is.
Who doesn't love robots doing things? I mean,
like,
there's some robot videos.
Now, if they would just stop and battle a little bit and then continue on, that'd be just awesome.
At the end of the day, they all fight to the death. That's like, I want to work there just to see that, you know?
I'd work there for free to see that. Yeah. Absolutely.
I would indeed. There's the control.
There's the control panel. Yeah. There's the guys up calling the winners and the losers from above.
This guy, he's going to get run over in a minute. It's just, you know, sad, but, you know, there's a human cost to everything.
Yeah. Part of the job.
That's the way it works. So, yeah, you know what? That's a very interesting update. I hope.
And look at the amount of space that it's, you know, taking up. Like, it is compact because it's pushed into the air, I guess. But
right.
Like, you look at it, at the box size compared to the actual Fremont factory, and it is minuscule compared to the factory as a whole.
Absolutely. And it's an efficient use of space. It's efficient use of power. It looks like a really good implementation of technology. Yeah.
So we hope they will add that to the tour or the future tour.
You know what else, Mark?
What's that?
The robots won't take up more space in the employee parking lot.
That's right. That's right. They don't have to come to work in their cars.
I'm just saying, the robots are there all the time. There's no commuting. There's no fighting over spot like that damn robot.
Working in the dark, and except for that fight to the death thing, it's a pretty easy life for them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. And you know what? So we sacrifice a few robots for
every once in a while. There's a gladiator fight. What can you know with the robots? That's just the way it goes.
How bad could that be? Really? I might have to be robot gladiator fight.
And I can just see the one that wins gets, like, you know, those stickers that, you know, warplanes used to get for shooting down a plane. It gets like several stickers across the side of it. Like, this robot is badass. This guy here.
It should be like a smiling cartoon Elon.
Or I was thinking maybe, you know, from Futurama, it's a picture of a bender with a stripe through it. To say, you know,
that's good. That's good.
We can now add those to our, you know, our place cards at the beginning of the show. Not only do we have names, but now we're throwing up graphics that we're coming up with on the show.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Like we got the time to do that.
I can't wait to hear from Matt Groening's lawyers too. You know, like, you don't have the right to use that. Thank you.
No, it's not Bender. It's Fender. Fender,
it's
the
Fender.
Robot.
Just some other random robot. Any resemblance is coincidental, sir.
Coincidental, exactly.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly.
On to our next story.
Yes.
Elon recently, just this past week, was able to go to the annual summer governors meeting, and he was asked to present in front of, I believe it was 30-some governors were at the meeting. And he walked through many different facets of his business and kind of just gave an overall view, or almost like a State of the Union type walkthrough of the different things that they are performing currently. And
why are they taking off their clothes? Oh, he's just taking off his tie. Okay, sorry.
Well, he saw Elon actually come out on stage without a tie, and of course he had a tie, and said, "Well, I think I'll make you more comfortable. I'll take my tie."
He's got a tie, but he's got cowboy boots.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. The host is wearing cowboy boots, but hey, to each their own.
There you go.
And what was kind of neat is that he was asked a few leading questions, but then he started to go into a little bit more detail about each, and he was presented a few issues or problems that have come up, and he presented what his view of it, such as him sitting on the board with Donald Trump, and why he decided to leave the board when the Paris Accord was dropped. So he goes in a little bit more detail about how he felt that that was really something that he couldn't stomach any further, and that the administration was going down a road that if they continued to follow it, he could not be credible and still be there. It would almost make make the administration seem correct if he remained in place on that board, and that's why he gave up his position at that point. Whereas, of course, previously, and we reported on this as well, that that he felt that if no one was giving Trump their mind, giving them their purpose, their reasons as to why he may be incorrect, then that was a problem that Trump, was not going to get from anybody else. Right. So that's why he originally stayed. But I guess at some point, it just mounts on you and gets harder and harder to stay. And eventually he decided to walk.
So can I make a completely unrelated observation?
Certainly.
Can Elon not grow a beard? Is he not hit puberty yet? Because he has children. But what is this? Elon?
He's got no time to take care of his personal look. He's constantly working.
Elon, what is this? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was my fault. I had to, kind of.
You had to go there. Had to go there.
I just saw that and I was like,
off.
Dude, grow a beard. There's some interesting comments, and generally speaking, of course, except for our show, YouTube comments are something I strenuously avoid. Of course, the comments on our show are all very, very good. But there was some interesting stuff, like somebody said, like, every time Elon says a stock is overpriced, I buy more because I like his honesty. I don't know that it's his honesty. It may be sort of false humility. But you know what? I mean, how many CEOs are ever going to be caught anywhere saying something like this stock is overpriced?
It is at a level higher than what they are able to claim. Like it's shocking. Like, you're right. Another CEO would never say something like that, let alone have it recorded and be able to be played back. Like that is a definite number one in the CEO handbook of what not to say. But he came out with that. He talked about NASA and what they're doing and their conjunction work with NASA and the exploration of space and going to Mars. He talked about Solar City. He talked about sustainable energy. He talked about how you could cut a small swath of Nevada or Texas and power the entire United States on solar. And completely walk away from fossil fuels altogether and have a complete sustainable society. So I would certainly recommend that people take a look at the YouTube link and watch the entire thing. It's obviously way too long for us to show it here, but well worth a watch and very interesting to see his mannerisms on stage and how I think the guy lives this stuff. Like, obviously, he is so smooth with it, and he walks through it. He seems so genuine. I gotta believe that a lot of it is in his DNA. Like, this guy really believes in this stuff, and that's another reason, that I admire him. That he is following what he believes, and he's pushing us all along to follow him as well. And it's remarkable. It really is, as you see the overall picture.
Right. It's not like, hey, Elon would be happy selling underwear. Elon would be happy making Lego bricks.
Right.
He's doing stuff that he loves because he's into it. And even if he's not, he's so good at presenting it that way that I buy it. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
One of the best pull quotes from this that I saw today was hilarious. Elon says that he wants to die on Mars, talking about the Mars expeditions. He said, I want to die on Mars, just not on impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's what
he wants to die of old age on Mars, not on slamming into the planet because one of his retro rockets didn't fire correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know that I want to die on Mars, but you know what? Good for him. You know,
I don't know. You get up in age, and I don't think you'd want to be traveling to Mars to die on Mars. Well, just no way.
Yeah, and again, what I respect about Elon is the fact that he's willing to dream big. That this isn't just like, how can I get my stock price up 10% next quarter? We've got enough of those bastards out there. They infect every level of our society.
Yeah.
I want somebody, and again, even if I don't agree with it, who's going to go to Mars, who's going to make magic mole tunnels so people can go places more easily. Great, do it. Let me challenge you.
And he is. That's the great thing about this, is that this guy has a track record. He is doing these things. He may come up with these crazy things, and we sit back and go, yeah, mole tunnels across LA. Come on, really? On electric sleds your cars are going to sit on. Right. Yeah, like we want to take our car to LAX and get there fast so the car can park. But like these are thoughts and purposes that really they string together with multiple disciplines, and he is making this stuff happen, and we are reaping the rewards of this. Like, this is amazing, some of the stuff that's going on. And as he starts to drop these pieces in place, I see myself doubting him even less as time goes on. Even as grandiose of dreams that he comes up with and spouts out about 13 gigafactories and owning 10% of the market within so many years. Like it's all possible. And as he's going along, it's I guess we've now turned into the Elon cheering section, but it's very interesting to watch, and more power to him. He's pushing everything along fantastic, and I'm enjoying every minute of
it. If you're a fan of James Burke like I am, James Burke, British historian that's made a bunch of different videos, written a number of books. But one of the themes over and over again with a lot of his stuff is that, people think that like the inventors, like the sort of the fake story about Edison, how Edison tried 5 billion different things before he finally hit on the right filament for the electric light. We don't deal with the lack of historical accuracy of that, but it's seldom one person working alone in a lonely garret that invents something. Most of the time, almost all the time, great inventions happen by accident. They happen because somebody was looking for something else and they turned back and went, well, what the hell is that? Over and over and over again. So you know what? I may think the Boring Company's dumb as hell, and I do. I don't get it. But you know what? Maybe Elon's going to hit on something else. Maybe there'll be another use for this technology. Maybe he'll refine it somehow. Maybe it'll make better mass transit or something else that we need and that will be useful. And same for the Hyperloop, whatever, all of that. So cheers for him. Again, he's dreaming bigger than, I want to raise the stock price 10% in the next quarter.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a society full of those bastards. We don't need any more of them.
Yeah, we're chock full.
We're good. We're good up.
Now, what I wanted to do is again, we're getting close to this 28th day of July that we're going to put on this special. I want our viewers out there, if they haven't already, to make sure that you sign up for two things. First of all, we want to get you on the Twitter page and connect to that at the Tesla Life. And secondly, even more important possibly, is get yourself onto YouTube and subscribe to the show. Because that will send you automatic alerts when the show becomes live, and it'll send it right to your device of choosing, and you can get on with us on the live chat and see the show as it's meant to see, with all its errors and fun that are going on.
As it's meant to be seen in 70 millimeters Technicolor.
Surround sound, yes indeed. No. So please join us in those two.
Or on your humble mobile device.
Well, one or the other, yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
70 millimeter, 7 inches. What's the difference, really?
That's what she said.
Ba-doom!
Boom! I got 1 million of them, folks, and I'm here until Thursday. Try the veal. Tip your server.
Next week we'll have the drumming machine hooked up, so we can properly give us the cymbal noise or something. Yes.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
Now I put him on it. Here we go.
I was looking because I used to have one on my desktop, and of course I probably just put the damn thing away. So whatever, that's the way that works. As Mark said, at Twitter, the Tesla Life. Follow us there. You will definitely get a tweet, and we will talk about it as soon as we know more. But July 28th, starting at 7 p.m. Pacific. That's mark it down on your calendar. Be with us, hang with us, talk with us in the chat room. We'll have somebody to monitor the chat room. Sorry about that, Lee and JT.
Yeah, we're a little bit short-staffed today.
Yeah, but it's just the two of us, so we're trying. But let's see, and that is a Friday night. And, of course, none of you have anything better to do on Friday. So, for God's sakes, hang with us on a Friday night, just once. You can drink, you can have fun. Make it a drinking game. Every time I say something stupid, take a drink. You'll be wasted by the end of the night, but you'll be entertained, I promise.
Have a great time. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
and the last thing, of course, is like us on our Facebook page, which is The Tesla Life #1. So please follow us there as well.
The Tesla Life 1. Thank you. Mark.
I think that's
you know what?
I think we've wrapped up this week's news. Okay, I will throw out a couple of tidbits from just today. We had a couple of, and this is on the Twitter feed, so please join in and take a look. But a few more spy photos have been taken of the Model 3. A black one at a supercharger. There's about 8 photos that were released about it. And what do they call it? The silver metallic? I'm screwing that up. It's something like, it's a gray color, but they call it, I've lost it. I don't know.
Or I would
silver
say
metallic, something like that. But it is the gray that we caught a photo of driving on the highway. It's now been spotted at a supercharger, and a really good high-res photo was taken of it sitting there. So you can take a look at what your future Reservation color will be.
There you go. And also don't forget to follow our friend Patrick Connor on Facebook. Don't look up Patrick Connor. Look up Ultimate Nerd Road Trip 2017. That is Ultimate Nerd Road Trip 2017. Patrick is, for some God unknown reason, driving his Model X from Oregon to San Diego for Comic-Con, and he brought along a few of his nerdy friends, and they're posting. They're in Harris Ranch right now, I think. We haven't heard from him in 3 hours, but apparently they were doing okay.
Yeah, they were posting photos from inside a gift shop. They posted photos at every supercharger they stopped at.
Yeah.
And, they've been posting like landmarks, like the San Francisco Golden Gate as they were crossing it into San Francisco. So yeah, you can follow them right along from Oregon right down to San Diego and back.
And back.
And apparently on the way back, they're going to be stopping at Tesla and doing a factory tour.
Assuming Tesla still lets them in. I mean, it could just, Tesla may just be like, we're going to pass on that.
Tesla may be watching the craziness that's going on the Facebook page and say, we're not letting these guys in.
Yeah, we're going to pass on this. You nerds can play in the parking lot and piss off some of our employees.
And if he doesn't get in, I'm hoping to get some great shots of the parking lot, because that Instagram account has been shut down.
Yeah, exactly. I missed that. We need an update from the Tesla parking lot. Come on, Elon. Lighten up, buddy. As always, thanks to Lee Moon, who wrote, performed, and was kind enough to let us use his music as our theme music. So thank you, Lee. A final shout out to Lee and JT in the chat room. Thanks, guys. Sorry I couldn't be in there more, but you know me. I can barely talk in front of this mic, much less do multiple window things and stuff. And so that's it. Once again, Friday, July 28th, 7 p.m. Pacific for our live Model 3 delivery event. Mark that on your calendar. And until next week, check in to see what's new and exciting in the Tesla life. See ya.